Hi friends, it is the weekend. It is Saturday and I'm at Walmart, outside of Walmart. And I'm gonna hop in or go into the store and purchase all the ingredients that will be used to make at least 6 evenings of dinners for my family of 4. I'm only gonna spend $40. And let's hope that that can feed my family comfortably. Now the goal is, again, to only spend $40. And the second is to get really great, healthy, nutritious dinners. All right, this is my Walmart haul. That will feed my family for at least hopefully 6 days. So let me go over with you what I am going to purchase for only $40. I am purchasing these are 2 large onions, and I found some chopped mix salad, the Buffalo Ranch, which is only $2.03. It was cheaper than the original bag lettuce I was going to go for, about 67 cents cheaper. 1 bell pepper, a bunch of green onions, some taco seasoning mix. I got some discount bakery bread right there, a pound of rotini, a pound of the extra large egg noodles. I also am purchasing 85-20 grass-fed hamburger, smoked turkey, as well as ground turkey, 5 pounds of russet potatoes, a package of frozen sliced carrots, a package of frozen green beans, a pound of sharp cheddar cheese, 8 ounces of pepper jack cheese, 1 can of petite diced tomatoes, 1 can of pinto beans, 1 jar of mild chunky salsa, and that is the Walmart brand, as well as a can of Hunt's pasta sauce. It's the garlic herb, a can of cream of mushroom, a can of corn, and then we have a half a gallon of whole milk. Now this is going to round out my at least week of meals to feed my family, fingers crossed, keep them full for $40. This is Monday night's dinner, smoked turkey noodle. And starting with some pepper jack cheese, turkey smoked sausage, egg noodles, a can of petite diced tomatoes, garlic, as well as bell pepper, onion, milk, and some thyme. Let's get all the veggies into the pan and sauteed to translucent, soften, and that turkey sausage. I cut up all that turkey sausage and get that some browning in the pan to get some color on them. Now I'm going to mix this really well, saute them really well, get it to the softness or texture that my family enjoys. Once that has occurred, I'm going to add about 2 to 3 garlic cloves. I'm using the garlic to me. Let's just say that's 2. I'm going to make sure that garlic gets nice and brown and incorporated in the veggies before adding 1 can of diced tomatoes. Now, it is 1 whole bell pepper diced and a half of a very large onion sliced in this recipe. And it calls for 3 fresh thyme leaves. I'm putting in a teaspoon of thyme, salt to pepper to taste. Once I had a moment for them to get well incorporated, all those ingredients sauteed together, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of chicken bouillon broth, and then 1 cup of whole milk, and then 8 ounces of the egg noodles. I'm using the extra wide egg noodles. I'm making sure the egg noodles get sort of buried into the pan and mixed in as well with all the different flavors that are going on there. Patting it down because I want all the water to absorb into the egg noodles. I'm letting it cook for about 15 minutes, checking it, and it's to the tenderness that I want. And I'm just going to top it with about a cup of pepper jack cheese. The recipe calls for Parmesan cheese, but I thought pepper jack cheese would actually taste better, and I could use the pepper jack cheese across other recipes for more affordability. Friends, this is delicious, and it made a ton. It made a ton for my family. I was going to pair it with some veggies, but my husband and I looked at it and said, I think this is a 1-pot meal, and it was definitely one for the books. Let's put together the taco casserole. You will need to start with 1 packet of taco seasoning, a jar of any salsa you like, a pound of rotini or any pasta you have, a can of diced tomatoes, a can of corn, some cheddar cheese, as well as a drained can of pinto and rinsed pinto beans, onion, and garlic. Now friends, I'm going to put a half a pound of the ground turkey and ground beef at the bottom of the pan and add half of a diced onion. I'm going to allow the diced onion to cook down and become translucent. Then I'm going to add 1 garlic clove, press it into the bottom of this pan. If you don't have fresh garlic powder will work just as well. I want to let that saute together for a few minutes before I'm going to add all the cans. A can of petite diced tomatoes, a can of corn, a can of rinsed and drained pinto beans, and 1 cup of salsa. I'm going to mix well and let that simmer for about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to add 12 ounces of already cooked pasta to the pan, mix well, and then we're going to layer it up into a 9x13 greased casserole dish. You put half of the mixture at the bottom of the pan, add a cup of cheese, cheddar cheese shredded, to the top of the first layer, then add the final layer and the rest of the beef and pasta mixture to the casserole dish. Be sure to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. While that's preheating, then put the remainder of the cheese. The rest, it calls for 2 cups of cheese, so you have a cup left. A cup of cheese on the first layer, a cup of cheese on the second layer, and friends, I just say put as much cheese as you want on your taco casserole. When it is complete, then you want to pop it in the oven and really get it bubbly. It took my casserole about 20 minutes to cook to get it nice, the cheese nice and melted and bubbly, and then it's ready to serve up. I actually served it up with some non-fat Greek yogurt, as well as some pickled jalapenos that I found in the fridge, and some green onion, and that was dinner, friends. It was definitely a hit. We love a taco dish. By far, you need to try this one. Simple and very, very family friendly. And here are the leftovers. All right, friends, it is Wednesday, and Wednesday, as most days in this house, is busy. I have 1 kid going to an athletic practice. I have another one wanting to go to youth group. She's going to actually eat dinner there. And so that will leave me and my husband and my littlest one to eat dinner. I'm going to throw something in the crock pot, and I'm going to cook what is called an Amish, I think it's called an Amish casserole or Amish harvest casserole. Anyway, it sounds delicious. And the best part is you throw it in the crock pot, you cook it low and slow all day, and it's supposed to smell wonderful, as the review said, and it's supposed to be hearty and delicious. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's put it together. Friends, this is what I'm using when on Pinterest. Found this Amish harvest casserole, and it's going to be cooked in the slow cooker. Let me go over the ingredients with you. All right, so we have the veggies to start: a cup of carrots, a cup of green beans, a cup of corn, frozen. I'm using can. I'm using the rest of the can of corn that I open for the taco casserole. You need a cup of potatoes. I peeled and diced this. This was 1 medium potato from that large bag of potatoes that I bought. And then it calls for 1 onion. I already browned up the ground meat, the 2 pounds of ground meat, and put an entire huge onion in it. So I just did half of another onion. So it calls for 1 medium onion. Also calls for a cup of cheese, a can of cream of mushroom soup, and this is the leftover ground meat. I'm going to use 3/4 of a pound in the recipe, and that's a mixture of turkey and beef with some onions and garlic, salt and pepper already seasoned. The recipe does call for some salt and pepper to taste, a teaspoon of parsley, a teaspoon of thyme, and I'm going to throw in 2 bay leaves just because I think a soup or a stew should have bay leaves, so I'm adding that to the recipe. And I will link the entire recipe in the description below. I have already put in my crock pot 3/4 of a pound of ground turkey and ground beef that's already seasoned with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onion. So it's already seasoned, but still needs some more seasoning. So 3/4 of a pound of the ground meat. All right, cup of carrots. I'm using the frozen carrots from the grocery haul. The rest of the corn, a cup of corn, and a cup of green beans. I'm using frozen green beans. Calls for a medium onion, diced. Even though I've already cooked the beef with onion, let's add more onion. And then a cup of potatoes. This was a medium potato. That's probably more than a cup, but hey, more potatoes the better. And yes, a can of cream of mushroom. As you can see, I chose the 50% less sodium and the 98% fat-free. People, don't be hating other people. They're using the quick and easy, the can of mushroom or cream soup. It's a lifesaver and really a budget saver a lot of times when you don't have all the ingredients to make the cream of mushroom soup. So yes, 1 can. And I am going to take a little bit of water and do a swish. Even though the recipe calls for no water, absolutely no water, no broth. But I'm going to do a little swidge. All right, the spices called for a teaspoon of salt. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon because, again, I'd rather taste and add more than put too much. So I'm doing a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of parsley, a teaspoon of dried thyme, and then I'm adding 2 bay leaves to the pot. Recipe doesn't call for it, but hey, I think you should add whatever spices you like. I did look at the recipe and it does call for 2 bulbs of garlic. So if you don't have garlic, use garlic powder. What's left to do? Ooh, it's already hot. What's left to do is just measure it all up. Now you can use canned carrots and canned green beans. I chose to use the frozen because I wanted to steam the green beans and carrots for a side dish later in the week if I need some extra veggies. So that's why I went with the frozen. Mix it really well. I can tell you right now, it already smells delicious. So I can't wait till what the end result is. You're going to do it. We're going to cook this for 8 hours on low. Y'all, this smelled just like Thanksgiving. Oh, it's so good. Comfort food. What really just set it over the top was that garlic toast so that you could just pile it on the garlic toast and eat it. Definitely a one to try. Hobo casserole for Thursday. I'm starting with 3/4 of a pound of browned meat, a 1/2 cup of beef broth, garlic, milk, and about 5 to 6 potatoes, medium, onion, 2 cups of cheese, Italian seasoning, paprika, and salt and pepper to taste. Now, friends, let's put all of this together. I've already browned 3/4 of a pound of ground meat. I'm sauteing the onions and garlic to translucent. Then I have put the ground meat into the pan with the onions to really heat up. And I'm throwing in some Worcestershire sauce. The recipe does not call for it, but I don't know, potatoes, ground meat. I just feel like that's a good ingredient to add. So I have it on hand. I put it in. The recipe does call for thinly sliced between 4 to 5 medium sliced potatoes. And they say to take a 9x13 pan, greased, which that's what I'm using, and to put the ground beef at the bottom, put the potatoes on top as well, and then top it with cheese. I don't know. When I looked at the picture, that's not how the picture represents it, and I just didn't think that would be a good way of cooking the potatoes evenly. So I'm putting it together very similar to like scalloped potatoes or a potato gratin. And I thinly sliced the potatoes and I am layering them at the bottom of the pan first because I feel like it's going to cook more evenly that way. And you know as well as I do, potatoes can take a bit to cook. So once you have them layered, I peppered them really well and salt them really well. It doesn't give a measurement for salt and pepper. They just said salt to pepper to taste. Put a lot of salt on there because potatoes can take a lot of salt. The recipe does call for a half a teaspoon of paprika and 1 teaspoon of dried Italian seasoning. And friends, let's just be honest, I'm measuring with my heart with this first layer. It might be a little more, like me a little less. But then I'm also, after I season the potatoes really well, I'm topping the potatoes with half of that ground beef mixture, the onions, the garlic, and the ground meat. The ground meat is basically turkey and ground beef. And then I'm taking a cup of the cheese. Now I have a mixture of the cheddar cheese and the rest of the pepper jack cheese, and that is the mixture. And then of course I'm doing a second layer of the potatoes with the pan, and that uses all of the potatoes that I sliced up. The recipe does call for a cup and a half of shredded cheddar cheese and a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, but I just stuck with cheddar cheese and pepper jack cheese so I could carry it on through other recipes during the week. And then I finished seasoning the top with the salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, and paprika. And then I used the remaining amount of ground meat, put it on the top of those potatoes, and then top it with a cup of cheese. And I'm drizzling over a half a cup of the beef broth, and then 1/4 of a cup of milk. They did say that was optional. I'm topping it, putting it in an oven of 375 degrees. It did take 40 minutes to cook. Guys, this was really good. Obviously, you can't go wrong with potatoes and ground meat. I paired it with a salad, and that was our dinner tonight. I actually had an entire other half of casserole left for another night. All right, y'all, it is Friday, and you know what Friday brings? Exhaustion and not wanting to cook. A lot of us who are in a household where 2 working parents or 2 working people, by Friday you're tired and you don't want to cook, which leads to ordering pizza or ordering food, takeout, or going to a restaurant. And needless to say, all those items are very expensive, and not to mention not really healthy for you. So to keep it easy, I'm going to do a very simple dinner, and it's not fancy, but it will be delicious, and it will fill the bellies, and it will be nutritious. I promise. I'm going to do the simple tomato bisque soup, and what makes it a bisque is I'm adding milk to it, or cream, whatever you have on hand, friends. I chose to do, if you remember, I purchased whole milk in the grocery haul. I typically don't purchase whole milk. I usually do 2%. But because I knew I was making this tomato bisque, I wanted a creamier, more wholesome soup. That is what we're having tonight. I'm going to open a Hunt's can of tomato pasta sauce. And I chose Hunt's for 2 reasons. One, it was actually less expensive than the jarred Great Value brand. Also second, which is the best, it doesn't have any added sugars to it. And I'm trying to not have so much sugar in at least my diet because of inflammation issues. So this really hit the card. Better, affordable, as well as didn't have the added sugars, which means it's sort of healthy, more healthier for you. And I'm going to open it up. I'm going to start with a cup of whole milk, and then add a little bit more as I see fit for what I am looking for. And as that is coming together and heating up, I'm going to make what's the best with tomato soup or tomato bisque soup? Yes. And that is grilled cheese. Remember, I got that whole loaf of already pre-sliced discount bakery bread at Walmart, and I have leftover cheese, and we're going to have grilled cheese and tomato bisque soup for this Friday. It's going to be really easy to put together. The cleanup will be even easier, and friends, you'll feel good about it because 1, you're not that tired after fixing it. 2, you're saving money. It's a whole lot cheaper to do that, a whole lot healthier than doing that. And than go through a drive-through or ordering pizza. Because let's just be honest, really anything at takeout or even picking up or delivering is going to be at least $40 or more. All right, it's a wrap. 7 days. Now, the idea for this meal plan was to make 5 recipes, have 5 dinners, have enough leftovers for a 6th day. Well, friends, to my surprise, I actually got through 7 days. How did I get through 7 days? This is how I did it. My 5 recipes, I did have some leftovers, but where I had a lot of leftovers is that potato, like beef hobo casserole. We ate half of that 9x13 dish because I paired it with salad, so it filled us up. So I had the other half left. So on the 6th night, we finished all the leftovers in reference to the taco casserole. We had a serving of the smoked sausage and noodles and a serving of the harvest casserole, the Amish harvest casserole. And we finished all that up. And then on the 7th night, we ate the hobo casserole, the leftovers, and then I finished up the rest of the veggies. I had green beans as well as carrots frozen left over. Remember, I only used a cup out of each bag. So that made a 7th night of dinners. Very shockingly, that carried me for 7 days, which is phenomenal. I used everything up other than 2 ounces of rotini, 8 ounces of egg noodles, and I had some potatoes left over. So I have those for in weeks to come in my pantry. So that was very exciting. My total for this was $38.23, I believe. Now, when I checked out, I couldn't figure out, like, why is this so much cheaper? Because I had gotten all the way up to, like, $39, almost to $40 without tax. And it wasn't until I got home and started cooking that I realized that I forgot to purchase Roma tomatoes. I wanted to purchase 3 or 4 Roma tomatoes and slice them up and put them in the sausage and noodle casserole or skillet dinner. And I had forgotten to purchase that. So I went to the pantry and just pulled out some petite diced tomatoes that I had and used that instead. So if I threw that 98-cent can of diced tomatoes to my total, it's going to put me up to close to $40. So it's still within the $40 range. And at the end of the day, it saved me some time. I didn't have to cut up vegetables and it came out just as good. So the recipe was delicious. All of the recipes, I highly recommend. We all enjoyed them. There wasn't one that we're like, we're not going to try that again. I will make all of these again. What was my personal favorite out of the 5? I'm in a Tex-Mex mode, friends. So the taco casserole was delicious. It was hearty. It had the beans, the beef, it had a great sauce, the veggies, and then I put some hot sauce on it. And it was so good. And we had leftovers for that because it was a pretty hearty dish. And the second, I would say, so simple, was the tomato bisque that I put together with the grilled cheese. It was perfect on the night I made it because it was fast, easy, delicious. It filled the belly. It was perfect, especially on that cold evening. Now, friends, if you are a couple that just is a household of 2, this is still a great meal plan because every one of these dishes and recipes are perfect to freeze. So you can make the whole recipe, split it up, and freeze the other half. The only one I would suggest to cooking before freezing is the potato hobo casserole, because for me, I can't freeze raw potatoes and it come out and cook thawed and cooked where the texture is delicious. I don't know what it is, but cook that and then freeze it. So all you have to do is just thaw and reheat and you're good to go. Now, friends, in weeks to come, in the next 4 weeks, I will be posting week by week of what we're eating and my grocery haul. And the reason why I'm choosing to do that is I want to utilize for the rest of January and probably the week or so into February, I want to utilize what's in my pantry because I have a pretty substantial pantry, my freezers and my refrigerator, utilizing that food and using that food. And I'm only giving myself a $20 budget to purchase fresh fruits, veggies, bread, and milk for my kids, really for their lunches. So I will be posting weekly. So if you have not subscribed or hit that little bell to notify you when I post. Please do. I'd love to see you in future videos. I will provide a couple new healthy budget-friendly recipes each week, as well as what I have purchased for the week with my $20 budget of grocery haul. And I'm going to do that for definitely 4 consecutive weeks. I know I'm a little off on week-to-week posting only because what I meal plan, we eat. You know, I'm not making it for the sake of YouTube. It's what my family is eating, and I want to eat it all up before posting it to give you feedback on how it was, especially if it's recipe driven, because usually all of these are recipes that I haven't had typically. So, friends, thank you so much for joining me today. And I believe YouTube wants you to watch those videos above. And make sure you stay safe and most importantly, stay encouraged.